Hey there, SportsLine on your television. Steve Lehman here with you. Glad you are here with us on this Tuesday night on News Channel 5. Plus, it is Major League Baseball All-Star Game night, the Midsummer Classic in Miami. American League and National League. This time the game does not count. No longer the World Series home field advantage up for grabs. Just back to an exhibition game. Guys getting to show off their talents. You get the best stars in the world there. And it should be a fun night all the way through. You're going to get a lot more guys involved. And ultimately, it's not going to really matter much when it comes to the World Series, which is the way it should be. Locally, Mookie Betts from Overton starting in right field for the American League. He's a member of the Boston Red Sox. He is batting ninth tonight for the AL, has not been up yet to this point. And Robbie Ray, the Brentwood native, on the National League pitching staff. We'll see if and when he gets into the game tonight and how he can do. He's been phenomenal so far this year for the Diamondbacks, especially over the last month or so. This is a team that looks like it can make a push in the NL West. It looks like it can make a push for the playoffs. They've got 4 All-Stars in the game. Ray, one of those, and he's been phenomenal up to this point of the season. SEC Media Days continuing down in Hoover, Tennessee. Went yesterday. Today it was Vanderbilt's turn. Derek Mason there. Ralph Webb there. Oren Burks defensively there. This is a team that has a bunch of veteran leaders. It's been around. This is a team that got to the Independence Bowl last year. First bowl trip under Derek Mason. And when you listen to Mason talk today, he said, look, you need to get depth in a program. You need to get veterans in a program, and we're starting to get all of that. He sounded like a guy who believed that the Commodores were ready to break through, who just believed that this can be a year where they far exceed the expectations of the outside. And the players seem to agree with that. A lot of them were asked, how do you guys feel about the fact that no one really talks about you in the SEC East? They talk about Florida and they talk about Georgia. They even talk about this year like a Kentucky maybe rising up and being a sleeper, or South Carolina. Nobody's talking about Vanderbilt despite the fact that they return almost everybody from a team that went to the Independence Bowl last year. And Oren Burks essentially said, look, nobody ever counts on us to do anything. Nobody expects Vanderbilt to win and win big. We kind of embrace that. We like being the underdog. We like to prove people wrong. And Webb added to that and said, we have the same goals everybody else does. We want to win the SEC East. We want to get to Atlanta and have a chance to play for a championship. And for the first time under Derek Mason, it feels like Vanderbilt's closer to that. Now, I don't think they contend in the SEC East this year. I don't think the team is good enough to do that. But I think they are closer to that than they've been at any point during his time at Vanderbilt. The trend meter is going up for the Commodores, and that's a great sign. This seemed to be a confident, loose bunch down there in Hoover today. We'll hear from Derek Mason coming up on the program tonight. Also, Butch Jones, who spoke yesterday in Hoover. And also, we talked a little bit about this last night, but we'll actually hear his comments tonight. Nick Bonino, the newest Predator, won a Stanley Cup in Pittsburgh with the Penguins. Now he's going to join forces here with Nashville. We'll hear some of his comments after he was signed and spoke with the media last week here in Nashville. Phone lines are open tonight as well. 737-7767 is the number. Feel free to call us up, get in on the program tonight. Anywhere you want to go about it. We can talk about baseball. We can talk about the SEC Media Days, your picks in the SEC, Vanderbilt and Tennessee questions, anything you want to get to there. We can talk about the Predators and their offseason. And, of course, we're still counting down to training camp. The Titans report on July the 28th. They will be on the field for their first practice at 2:40 in the afternoon on Saturday, July 29th. So that means we're 18 days away now from camp. Lots to talk about with that. obviously, over the next few weeks. So we can talk about the Titans as well. What do you expect from this team this year? I saw an interesting thing today where the NFL's released its list of the top-selling jerseys of last season. Marcus Mariota, Titans quarterback, now ranks 24th in the NFL in total jersey sales from last season. That's up 18 spots from his rookie year after being drafted number 2 overall. That, to me, shows the belief in the Titans and, frankly, the excitement that they played with last year. When that offense was humming in the middle of the season, when Mariota was cooking and he threw 19 touchdowns against 1 interception in the middle of the year, that was fun. And people around the NFL started to notice that week in and week out. That's why people want his jersey. That's why people are interested in the Titans, and that's why a lot of people believe this team this year is the favorite in the AFC South. Marcus Mariota's jersey up to number 24 in NFL jersey sales. DeMarco Murray's jersey now 46th. He was 66th or 68th a year ago. So you're talking about more than 20 spot jump for DeMarco Murray. That happens when you win games. When you win games, you become relevant. We've talked about that with the Pro Bowl before. You know, Delaney Walker had over 1,000 yards catching as a tight end a couple of seasons ago. Had 94 catches for the year. I mean, just mind-boggling numbers for receivers a lot of the time. But we're talking about a tight end. And he wasn't selected to the Pro Bowl outright. He had to go as an alternate a couple of years ago. And you know why? Because the Titans stunk. They were 3-13. So nobody cares what you do, that you have 94 catches or that you have 1,000 yards receiving. Nobody cares if your team stinks. Last year, the Titans go 9-7. What happens? Well, Walker's a Pro Bowler. He only had like 65 catches last year. I say only. That's still very, very good for a tight end. But it wasn't nearly the season last year that it was 2 years ago. But he gets in right away as a Pro Bowl tight end because the Titans won games. Taylor Lewan goes on the offensive line. DeMarco Murray in the backfield. Brian Orakpo, Jarrell Casey. Casey, by the way, also a guy who was an alternate that was put into the game 2 years ago. Last year, in right away. Why? Because the Titans won games. When you win, good things happen in the NFL. And the Titans have created that culture now. With John Robinson at GM, with Mike Mularkey as the head coach, they've created a culture of hard work, of a belief that this team that hasn't won a division title since 2008, hasn't been to the playoffs since 2008, can go do it. There's a belief outside of the building that the Titans are the best team in the AFC South right now. There's a belief within the building that I think they are as well. But I can also tell you there's a realization within the building that all this talk doesn't mean anything. The guys like me sitting up here saying that the Titans can or maybe should win the AFC South won't matter a lick when the ball is kicked off on September the 10th against the Raiders at Nissan Stadium to start this season for real. What they did last year in getting to 9-7 was great. It was a start. But it doesn't mean anything when this season begins. They have to do it all over again. And they have to be better because last year 9-7 wasn't good enough. And they get that. And I think that's what's exciting if you're a Titans fan right now, is the talent is there. The culture is there. The pieces are there. And I think that hunger is there as well. The chip on the shoulder from being 2-14 and 3-13, I think it still remains with a lot of those guys within that locker room. and you've added some veteran pieces from other places where those guys know how to win. You know, Ben Jones on the offensive line, he knows what it's like to be in the playoffs. Brian Orakpo, veteran leader that's been there the last couple of years, that's helped with this. Logan Ryan to the defense. He's a guy that won 2 Super Bowls in New England. Those pieces help you establish that culture, establish that work ethic in the building. And that, I think, is why this season has so much promise. Because, yes, the roster is better. This is the most talented Titans team that they're going to put on the field in probably a decade. But they're not taking that for granted. They understand there's still a lot of work to be done. And that's a good thing as you head into training camp. We'd love to hear from you tonight. 737-7767 is the number. Phone lines are wide open if you'd like to get in on the conversation tonight. Call us up. What do you think about the Titans or any of the other topics we mentioned here in the first block? We'll also get to some SEC Media Day stuff here from Vanderbilt coach Derek Mason, Tennessee coach Butch Jones, and the newest Pred, Nick Bonino, on the way tonight as well. Stay tuned. We're just getting started. You're watching SportsLine right here on News Channel 5+.